Well, I'm really happy for him because I'm a huge fan of his. He was coaching at Cleveland State, if I remember this right, and we played them in a game at BYU, and I like the way he approaches the game. I like how aggressive he is. I like the way he carries himself. I like the way he talks about the game and honors the game. I think I'm a big fan. I think he's, one of the really special coaches in college basketball. And so, and then, last year it wouldn't have been easy for anybody. But the way that he's helped that program, those kids have responded this year is pretty extraordinary. It's pretty special. It's one of the great stories. I think one of the great stories in college basketball is how they've responded, and so I love him. I think he's terrific. I think he's great for basketball.
Mark, to circle back to Jackson for a second, I think you mentioned that he was scheduled to have the surgery up in New York yesterday.
Yep.
I guess, did that happen, and what can you share with us about just his outlook and how that went?
Surgery was perfect. I talked to him last night. He was a little tired and a little irritable, but he's on his way back right now, and we're hoping that he'll be available Saturday. So we'll see.
So he's going to be able to travel with the team, be around the team, kind of.
We'll see about you. I was kidding about the availability, by the way. I got no appreciation for that. We'll see how he feels when he gets back. So if he feels up to it, I know he's going to want to be with the team every second he can, and we want him to be. And so, I know it's tough travel, tough 48 hours for him, and we'll see how he is once he gets here.
To circle back to something else you mentioned on, I think, the radio show on Monday night, you mentioned that Kerr will have the extra year of eligibility available. Does that mean that he won't be coming back this year? Is there any chance he'll be played for you guys?
We're past the window now where he could actually get back. It's just been a little bit stubborn of a healing process, and so he just hasn't reached the benchmarks that he needs to get to in terms of the healing process.
Mark, how much would Saturday kind of just be a shot of confidence to get away? Not that you guys don't have confidence, but kind of get some of that big game swagger back that you guys had the first 3 months of the year,
Yeah.
but kind of lost the last couple of big games.
I think it's just I think this league is really spectacular, and you just see last night. Everything turns upside down every single second of the way, right? And so I think you want to get every single win you can, and you understand what it is, and I think that it's really imperative for everybody in this league. That you understand that how great the level of competition here is, and it shouldn't ever affect your confidence, actually. We would love to win. We'd like to go into the SEC tournament on a little bit of a run, because it just makes you feel good, but it won't have any impact on our confidence level or our belief in our guys. I would like to get through the game healthy, so that's a huge priority for us.
How quick did the season went by for you? Pretty quick?
It's so fast. It's so fast. It's too fast, actually. But it's been, it's this. We get to play our last game of the regular season on Saturday, and it's just been an epic, dramatic, incredible, wonderful, painful journey. All the things that you want in it, and we can't wait to get to the postseason.
How did Lamont and Andrew especially come out of that LSU game?
They came out perfect, so I'm super grateful for that. So they're doing really, really well. Every day that we move forward, I think that they gain and we gain a little bit more confidence in their health. So that's been a real blessing.
Is there some type of value in having permanent clarity on Jackson, knowing this is going to be the group that you have, knowing that Andrew and Lamont are back at full strength, practice is going to be?
Yeah, in terms of strategy and planning and kind of getting your mind wrapped around the roster, yes. You just knowing what you have is incredibly helpful, for sure.
Is one of the better offenses in the country. Just what are maybe a couple of things that really make them go, and how do you think you match up against the defensive?
Yeah, they're almost 22% of their possession are in transition, and they're a really, really high-level steals team. They're one of the best steals teams in the country. But if you look at it, if you kind of dig deeper into the numbers, their transition is still prolific, even if you take out the steals numbers. So they're pushing in transition really hard. They have incredibly capable shooters that are dangerous. They have really dangerous perimeter players. They've got a non-traditional starting 5-4 who's unbelievable in ISO. He's coming off more ball screens than any big in our conference for sure. And he's really, really effective at it. They have an ability to kind of focus in on some places they want to attack and come back to them over and over and over again. I think Coach Gates does a great job. Dennis does a great job with that. They're kind of a really well constructed roster. There's some similarities, kind of just to the general sense. We run a lot of the same actions offensively. We kind of value spacing in the same way offensively. There's personnel. There's some familiarity and just kind of. I'm putting the roster together. I think they're a really good team, and clearly they've been terrific offensively.
We talked about kind of last night to get results and conference turn it upside down like I said. I was just wondering how much do you pay attention to the seeding and where you guys are at in future matchups, because it's still too early.
Well, now we're doing it, a lot because it's just fun, right? There's these little websites where you go on and you're like, okay, if they win and they win and they win, it's like a mind-numbing endeavor, and it's March. I mean, this is the best. I think sometimes we might misread that there's a difference between fans and players and coaches, and there's really not. Except if it's conceivable, as a staff and as a group of players, we might be more excited about everything that comes with postseason than BBN, which seems impossible, right? But so we love every bit of it.
There was a moment after, I think Colin had made 2 or 3 threes, and he took a three from maybe 28 feet that was a little contested and fairly early in the shot clock. Maybe not the shot that you want there,
Yeah.
but would he have had the confidence to do that 3 months ago? And do you like that part of it going into, maybe you don't want to see that shot in the NCAA tournament, but the thinking behind it?
Man, that's a fun question to play with. I like our young guys because our young guys are trying to be unafraid of failing. They're trying to fail fast. We believe in failing fast. I just talked about this with the group last night. Failing fast is really important. And Colin played a terrific game. Speaking of that one shot where I think he knew and everybody knew and we knew that he pushed the envelope a little too far, right? But that's how you learn, is by failing fast. By stepping out of bounds, you learn what the boundaries are. If you never actually get close to the boundaries, you never learn, you never grow. So we want to fail fast, fail fast, fail fast. We're not afraid of failing. Fail fast, gather data, and let's go. Let's go be bold and courageous and fearless and aggressive out on the court, especially as we're getting to postseason. That's where we want to live. And so I actually loved that moment. I met with Colin the next morning, just very briefly, and we kind of joked about it. And I love it. That's how we grow. And we want to fail as fast as we can, because failure's not final. Failure's just a step in the process of growing. And so the more failures you can stack close together, the more you learn, the more you grow, the more data you collect, the better player that you become. And being unafraid of that was the best part of that moment, is he was unafraid. He's like, hey man, I think I'm feeling it. I don't know if this is right or not, but I'm going for it. And that's why he's going to be a really, really special player. Leanne tells me this all the time. She's like, birds are never afraid to land on a branch, not knowing whether it's going to break or not, because they can fly. And I want our players to feel that way. I want them to feel like, I'm not afraid of a mistake, because we can fix it. We can go make up for it. I can learn and grow. And so that was actually a super fun moment for me, watching him grow.
Sorry to interrupt, but
You were totally bored with my answer. You're like, enough. Can we slow it
no
down?
inspired by the program. You noted after the press conference, I remember you said winning the SEC tournament matters.
Yeah.
You're about to coach in your first SEC tournament. What your emotions and feelings are rolling into that tournament? And it's important, not only for the team and you, but also the family.
Well, it's why you play. I mean, this is why you play ultimately. You know, sometimes in this culture, in this environment, with all the things going around, there's so much, right? And I could say this much more eloquently, but like, let's not forget, this is about winning. Like, we're here to win. We do all this work to win. And it's like, that's why we're here, is to go win, especially at the University of Kentucky. There's nothing less than that that's acceptable. And so, you know, the social media stuff and the NIL and the transfer portal and the professional and all the things are great, but you know, we should never be distracted by the fact that, like, that is not the end goal. The end goal is to win. The end goal is to raise a trophy and hang a banner. That's the end goal. And so we're here now. We've gone through this season. We've been through everything we've been through. And we've grown in all the ways that we could grow as fast as we could possibly grow. And now we're at the final stages where it's time to win. Like, you're either going to win or you're not. And that's not to be paralyzed by fear or crushed by expectations. It's just time to recognize that, you know, what you've worked for the last 6 months and for your whole lifetime is actually right now. It's not the other stuff in the future or the past or wherever. It's right now. And so this SEC tournament matters. It's the best league maybe that's ever been in any, you know, in any year of college basketball. And this SEC matters. And so we're heading to Nashville with all of our successes and confidence and warts and holes that we got to plug, and we're going there with one goal, which is to go win. And I assume every team is going there that way. That's why athletics is beautiful, is because, you know, it gets that pure at the end of the day. You're either going to go win or you're not, and it matters.
Mark, I think Tuesday, for the first time since the Mississippi State game, you guys attempted 30 threes.
Finally.
Just how encouraging was it to get to that number, especially with postseason play, game away?
Yeah, it's you know, that's, you know, we've talked about it as a team, and, you know, for probably the last 6 to 8 weeks, we've just been trying so hard to just stay above water, managing all the changes. And, you know, for the first 2 or 3 months, we were so focused on getting better every day, getting better. And then we went through a period in the season where it happens to a lot of teams where we just had so much change to roster and rotation. We're just like, how do we survive? How can we stay alive? And, you know, this will be, like we talked about, this will be our 3rd straight game, you know, where we have the same unit that we put out on the floor. And there's some real comfort that comes with that. And with all of that said, you know, now we get to, you know, instead of managing things, we get to be auspicious, and I was really proud of that. You know, our pace is really important to us, and what happens in the postseason is everything gets dragged to a screeching halt, and we got to fight that like crazy to have pace in the game, because that's when we play our best. So I was really pleased with that number.
Circling back to the conference tournament for a second, obviously you've gone through kind of that process before at Utah Valley, BYU, nothing on the stage of the SEC tournament
Yep.
per se, but just having, you know, a couple of years of experience of going through that, the mechanisms of it, what have you learned from going through the postseason conference tournament setting with the teams before that you plan to apply, or maybe plan to not apply in any other direction with Kentucky this year?
Well, it's. I mean, these tournaments are like, you know, NCAA tournament is the mecca of all tournaments in the world. These conference tournaments are great, and being an SEC now in the best conference in the country, in the biggest tournament in the country. One of the things special is this: it's just back to back to back to back to back. There's no in between days, and it's a fevered pitch going from game 1 to game 2 to game 3. It's all teams and fan bases that you're intimately familiar with, and a lot of times have a beef with and a history with and some frustration with or some ownership of or whatever. And it's a really unique dynamic. It's really special. And so with that said, our goal is just to be as ambitious and aggressive and focused as we can. And, you know, it's everything at hyper warp speed, right? God willing, you win your first game and you roll back to the hotel and get everyone treatment, and you're immediately on. All the emotion is gone. And you're immediately focused on to the next, prepping for the next game, and which is going to happen in 22 hours, and it's a beautiful thing. It's so condensed, and so we love it, and we'll stay laser focused on it and see where we get.
5 years ago this week, COVID hit, and it just, everything stood still. What was that experience like for you 5 years ago, going through an uncertain period of time, especially with NCAA coming out and that type of thing? What do you recall about that?
Well, listen, the COVID was way more serious than basketball. So I'll just put that as a foundational statement. It was way more far-reaching and way more important than anything that we do in basketball. The whole thing was devastating. On our little tiny slice of basketball, it was devastating. We had a great team. We were a top 20 team. I think the first team at BYU in a decade that had been a top 20 ranked team. We had a bunch of seniors that had never been to the NCAA tournament in their tenure at BYU, and guys that had just gelled together and kind of defied all the odds to put together an unbelievable product, unbelievable team on the floor. And so we're in full prep mode to go, and the announcement comes out. And so what I remember most is like the absolute like gut-wrenching, guttural devastation of my guys. It was devastating. Just on that little slice of the part of basketball that just mattered to us individually, it was devastating. And it's one of those things that we have these throughout our life that help you get better at being present and enjoying every single moment, because you just know you might not get a next one. And those guys, those seniors who'd worked their entire lives to finally get over the hump and earn that opportunity to go play in that tournament as a team that was pretty hot and pretty exciting, to lose that is just a reminder of like, let's make sure that we never take for granted a day again. And that's what I remember.
Ainsley was not, shots, not to be disrespectful to him, but put out some flash for the team, but he just wasn't scoring. It was like
Yeah.
a ghost of Ainsley. I don't know what happened, because he really found a groove there, like around the Vandy game.
Yeah.
A lot of confidence, knocking down shots, like the game at Vandy.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's going to take for him to kind of do that more consistently here.
His numbers are insane. Like, if you look at his numbers, guys, it's crazy what he's done. His percentages are just ridiculous. Like, he's in such rarefied air. And so it makes you feel really confident. I mean, you could either walk into Saturday, which is a huge, going to be an epic game against Missouri, and then walk into the SEC tournament with your guy being one of the elite shot makers in all of basketball percentage-wise, or you could walk in with him being average. And I like walking with the elite guys because I think that gives you more confidence. I don't worry about Ansley for a second. He's put together a spectacular year, and I think he just is so desperate to have a little bit more, like just for us to be together a little bit longer. And so he'll function at a high level.
Yeah, Kobe, he's
Couple more.
brave about kind of the stuff he does outside of scoring.
Yeah.
So I know he provides a lot, but what would it take for him to be kind of more than like a once every 3 or 4 games?
Yeah.
Once every 5 games.
Yeah.
Could he become like a once every other game? You know what I mean?
Oh, I think he'd be every game. I think he can be every game. And so I think he's got big stuff in store here in this next month. It's going to be really exciting.
With the defense, the numbers have looked a lot better the last month or so. How much of it is just having?
We got into the 50s, guys. Whew. My gosh.
How much is it just having Lamont kind of the point of attack, maybe slowing down the initial stuff, and did that kind of help everyone behind him as well?
Yeah, Lamont makes a massive difference. Now, to the team's credit, we made a huge jump sans Lamont, right? And then him coming back come on. Like, it makes such a difference for us having him at the point of attack. It's a massive difference. So it's both the impact that he has on the game, which is incredible. He's done it his entire career. And then the rest of the team catching up. I think still in the last 7 games now, we've been a top 20 defensive team. And clearly that's, you can't have a chance. You don't even have a chance to be competitive if you can't function defensively. Thanks, guys. I'm sad. Hope you guys have a great life. See you guys. Appreciate y'all.